Shooting it raw?
Yes. Shooting it raw.
So here's humor. Here's humor.
Yes. So put yourself
the holy grail.
Yes. Now look. So I love photography. I love photographs. I like talking shop. I love discovering stuff, seeing things, and with this project, everybody brings me into their world, and I get to see how they see the world, and it's kind of interesting and quirky and fun. And I don't know what's going to happen until I look.
Yeah.
And so in this photo, just great. So it's basically an older gentleman, probably in his 60s or so, who could do with food. Like, he looks quite skinny. He's got like the very kind of emaciated legs. He's in this like button-up shirt. Like, it's like one of those, I don't know if it's a polo shirt or whatever. He's got these like Adidas style black shorts, barefoot. His head is on, looks like a shopping bag. He's on this very nicely manicured green lawn, which is extremely rare in Hong Kong. There are no lawns in Hong Kong. There's a bush right behind him. He's in the shade because it's an afternoon photo. Done probably during the pandemic, because what he did was he lifted his mask to cover his eyes, and he's in the thick of a nap. Like, his mouth is kind of open. You know, I don't know how you got him to sign the model release, but well done. But absolutely great photograph. If I had to put money on it, I'd say this was in Happy Valley, just because that's one of the only places where there's grass. Yeah, tell us.
So it was the pandemic. It was right at the beginning of the pandemic.
Okay.
This is Sun Yat-sen Park in Sangpun.
Okay.
And I think I had taken our child to go on a play date in the park, because it was one of the few things that you could do.
Yeah.
It was right at the beginning, and there's big tannoys all the way around, giving out the information about how you will be fined if you do not wear a mask, the ordinance, the government ordinance. Right. And then there's this guy in the middle of it all with the giving zero. And I was like, that dude is amazing. And I took this picture, and it was the holy grail for me. It was humor in Hong Kong. I was like, holy moly, it does have humor.
Yeah.
And so I took a couple of frames. That's all I took. And then I heard a whole kind of like gaggle of laughter. And I turned around, and there's just all these women and helpers and whatever, just all behind me, all laughing at the fact that I'd taken this guy's picture.
This crazy tourist. So let's look. So what's great about this photo as well is that the sort of the dominant tone, color, field, whatever, is green, because he's on this lawn. There's the bushes right behind him, and the sun is kind of carving out this yellowish band or whatever on the top right of the image. So it's the person, other than his skin, in a way, it's like the image is kind of monochromatic in the sense of it's kind of in this one world of color, which is mostly greens. But he's got the color, and he's got which really pops. So yeah, this tells me you know how to make a photo. Your composition is fascinating by putting him, the guy's like, so the bottom half of the image is just grass. The top half of the image is this guy laying on his back, arms on his chest, kind of clasped with fingers interlaced. He's just kind of passed out in a nap. What's your relationship to color in photography?
So color is something that I'm deeply fascinated by. When I first started, I took a lot of black and white pictures, but we don't see in black and white. Therefore, black and white pictures are always interesting. My friend David, whenever I used to take a picture of him, he'd go, no. And I go, it's black and white. Oh, all right then. And that was always our joke. And it's very true. It's you don't see that way, so it's interesting.
Right.
Therefore, I then started to shoot cross-processed, putting the wrong film through the wrong chemistry. And that would then saturate the colors wildly, and it would, again, create something that you don't see.
Right.
And so I always played in those kind of tones because I never understood why people took just authentic, regular pictures, if you like. Mm-hmm. Because to me that, I don't know, that it just instantly wasn't interesting. And I still struggle with it. I always look for the kind of the theatrical. Mm-hmm. So I look for the theatrical lighting. I look to kind of pinpoint people. I also spend a lot of time in advertising. Advertising is about concentrating on...
That really shows.
On the product, on whatever. So in this picture, if I'd been slightly off, there's loads of legs here because there's loads of kids playing and stuff like that. Yeah. Here there was a picnic or something that was going on here, which I thought would be kind of interesting to have that contrast, but it just didn't work because then you got too much. So I just defaulted to kind of a product shot, if you like. Yeah. But in using all the kind of negative space, it kind of gives him a bed. It's like it's exactly weighted heavily enough to kind of give him a bed. So for me, that the ground all of a sudden became sort of three-dimensional. Yep. And I mean that's my kind of thought process. But a lot of this stuff happens very quickly. I don't labor over things.
No, I know. It's very intuitive.
Because one of the street photography kind of things that people do is to wait, to find somewhere that's an interesting place and then wait.
Okay.
That never works for me.
Right.
If I like somewhere, I'll go and I'll wander around. I'll come back, and that never really works. These things have to just fall into place in front of me.
Right. So the podcast is about sharing how different people make sense of the world because we all interface with the world differently. For example, it's like going into somebody's house. So you welcome me into your place, and all these fascinating talisman and records. So there's lots of art on the walls. There's a disco ball. There's stylish. It's like so. In the same way, it's like it's a manifestation of how you see the world. And so, what's great for me is that by sharing how people tick and how they see the world, then maybe that way inspiring somebody. So you've been doing photography for a long time. It's a craft that you've kind of built your mastery on, even if the word mastery is kind of fearful because it's a process. Like you're always improving, always getting better. So if we go beyond just the record of the image, can you say that photography fulfills a deeper need? And if it does, what is that deeper need? And if you don't like this question, answer a different question.
Photography definitely fulfills a need. I found photography, or photography found me. I don't know how these things work, but it suited me down to the ground, and kind of I absorbed it. Mm-hmm. The business is random at best. I was an early adopter of mobile phones because I loved walking down Oxford Street, because I was living in London at that time, the phone going and saying, "Hey, look, we've got a 2-week trip in Tanzania. Would you be up for doing it? It's leaving next week." There's not many places not many jobs in life that kind of do that sort of thing. And, or we'd like you to shoot a band, can you go hang out with a band or go meet a celebrity? And again, and it just suited me really well. I was always like, yes, and yes always got me into lots of trouble as well. Yeah. But trouble with a camera is different to trouble.
I'm going to interrupt because you said this before and maybe it almost slipped by. You said that the camera in a way is your I don't remember the word phrasing, but is your way to yes, or it's like your way of saying yes to the world. Or what is it? I don't remember.
Yeah, so it was my open door policy in a way. There are so many things, but I remember one in Santiago. We were checking into this little guest house, and the door was open to another room, and the light was hitting the table. There was a decanter and stuff, and I grabbed the camera, took a picture, and the maid who was cleaning the room took one look at me and slammed the door in my face.
What?
And I just kind of held the camera, like, I just taken a picture.
Yeah. And maybe she thought you're gonna get in trouble, or who knows?
Yeah, and again, when I met Prince Charles and went to Clarence's house, and they keep you waiting for a while, and there's all these pictures on the desk. I was around the side looking at all the family pictures, and everyone in the room was like, "What are you doing?" Right. I'm like, I'm looking at the pictures. I'm looking at the pictures. Why wouldn't I? Yeah. And it's like, I'm a photographer. And it's kind of, that's my excuse for everything. It's like, I'm a photographer. That's why.
I love it. That's interesting. And here you are on Peng Chau. Here we are on Peng Chau. You're saying something about, in a way, you kind of have to find the humor in Hong Kong, to sort of discover it and whatever. And just quickly, we'll move on, but quickly, do you remember the phrase you learned in the coffee shop?
Yes. Oh, hang on. You
wrote it down. Okay.
I did.
Good. You need to know it.
I'm going to... Bingo Fong Pei.
There you go. Bingo Fong Pei. Very good. That's a cliffhanger that will reveal what it means at the end, but a very important Cantonese phrase. Should we move on to the next photo?
Yes.
Ho. So is life really a gift? Really? Can you make every second count? That's the whole point of the podcast. So if you like what you've seen and you're inspired, because that really is my mission, then please give it a like, subscribe, and share.
Shooting it raw?
Yes. Shooting it raw.